Hello, I'm Patrick Hill. Do you hate people because of the color of their skin? I hope the answer is no. Most Americans would probably say no, but sometimes our behavior may not back that up. Racial tensions have clearly escalated over the last decade in our country. Racially motivated violence has damaged peace and property and even taken lives. Today I want to propose an idea about how to reduce this problem. Individual Americans could apply biblical concepts to improve race relations. Even if you're not a Christian, please hear me out. I believe you can still appreciate how some of these concepts might help. First, I'm going to present some ideas on how America has become divided over race, what brought us to this point. I'll point out some factors that have contributed to the current problem. Next, I'm going to suggest some biblically supported ways that individuals can work to improve race relations. These concepts are not specific to any one race. They're things that every individual could choose to do. Lastly, I'll provide a forecast of how race relations will be in the future. We have a choice. We can work to improve them, or things could just get worse. Everyone has seen how racial conflicts have divided our nation and led to recent violence. The growing problem seemed to peak in 2020. However, racial tensions were rising in the U.S. before the George Floyd incident occurred. In a poll from 2019, over half of Americans said they felt race relations were getting worse. Since 2013, there's been a major increase in the media in reports referencing racism. The George Floyd case brought tensions to a costly boiling point. The protests and riots of 2020 left at least 15 people dead and countless others injured. A record-breaking $2 billion in property losses were reported to insurance companies, and around $6 billion is expected to be lost in the long run by the businesses and communities that were affected by these actions. Some changes in American culture have greatly contributed to the decline in race relations. A big one has been critical race theory, an ideology that's driven racial division. Critical race theory devolves all individuals to a status of either the oppressed or the oppressor, directly based on their race. Critical race theory is considered so controversial now that several states are passing laws to prevent this ideology from being taught in their schools. It's considered an indoctrination to socialist political views. Another problem has been millennial activism that supports a one-sided narrative. Antifa, for example, uses racial tensions to promote their socialist ideologies. It's gotten to a point where witnesses at different protests have said that the anti-racist protesters express the same radical hatred as comparable to white supremacists and Nazi attitudes. Healthy race relations are key to a stable American republic. An immigrant named Israel Zangwill coined the metaphor of America as being a melting pot, a place where the different races, ethnicities, and cultures came together as one. Our Declaration of Independence proclaims that all people are created equal and are granted certain rights by the Creator. There are biblical concepts that individuals can adopt to improve race relations. Regardless of race, we should all strive to behave as ambassadors and realize that the way we behave individually, we're painting a picture to others. They're able to see us and they'll form opinions based on our behaviors. The first principle I'm going to bring up is to treat others as you would want to be treated. You may know it as the Golden Rule. It's also in the Bible, in Matthew 7, verse 12. Consider every person as created in God's image. In the Bible, this is covered in Genesis 1:27. It's been said that if you look at a person long enough, whoever they are, you can see the fingerprints of God on them. There's a concept called culture universals, things that worldwide we as people have established in our different societies. Things like dance and art, these are seen in the cultures of every race on earth. So really, we're not that different. Recognize that every person is unique and also imperfect. The Bible brings this up in Romans 3, verse 23. When we consider that everybody is imperfect, you have to give them a certain amount of grace. Just because an individual makes a mistake, be it something small or even a major crime, we have to look at everyone as being human and fallible. Due process in our legal system is part of this. The idea that even when a person is first accused of a crime or something wrong, they have an opportunity to prove their innocence. And then beyond that, our system is supposed to try to properly punish them if they're found guilty. Another key principle is to demonstrate acceptance of differences in people. Proverbs 18:21 says, "Death and life are in the power of the tongue." We should watch what we say. Even when we're in groups we feel comfortable with, if we're expressing attitudes that are racist or put down any group based on the color of their skin, this is something we just can't do. It just passes things on. Another recent development with our technical culture has to do with greeting strangers. There was a time not long ago when around a college campus or a school or your workplace, people would commonly say good morning, good afternoon to anybody that they passed. Now in the digital age, everybody's kind of focused on their cell phones. Their friendships seem to be focused very much on their online communications. And it's kind of turned a lot of people into introverts. This has an effect on the way people see you. If you don't say good morning or good afternoon to someone, especially if you're of a different race, they may take it as a sign that you don't like them because of the color of their skin. It doesn't cost anything to just say good morning and good afternoon to people, and in the business world, it's been pointed out that this is considered the right thing to do. It's considered professional behavior. To not do so is considered rude. We can be ambassadors of good relations, and as such, we have influence. We influence others every time we interact. Humans relate experiences to race, gender, age, and expression that they see in someone's face. Did you know that there's actually a part of a human brain that scientists have confirmed that as soon as you see a person's face, you automatically are able to categorize all these things about them, like the ones I just mentioned, their race, their gender, their age, the attitude they may have, whether they're happy or sad based on their smiling or if they look like they're frowning. Harmful stereotypes could be dispelled through positive interactions. We influence our friends and family through our example. Adolescents, it's been found, develop negative traits like aggression and a propensity towards crime, a lot of times based on their exposure to social influences, the people around them, their family, their friends. We each wield a degree of power over our own racial culture, that what we do and say, when people see us, it can be carried over where they see that in everybody of our race. If enough individuals applied these concepts, we could start improving overall race relations in our country. At this point, there's two paths we can choose from. If enough individuals of all different races in America took it upon themselves to be ambassadors, we can change the state of race relations and improve it and make it better. We can qualify ourselves and others as individuals and promote other people to do the same. We can take pride in being part of a diverse society. We can get back to that melting pot idea that we're stronger together with all of our differences mixed in. We can learn from one another without racial boundaries, instead of being just focused on learning from people that are like us. American children can have an opportunity to grow up without predisposed attitudes. They won't need to conform to a culture based on their race. They can be in control of their own destinies. And they can avoid being forced to assume guilt or victimhood based on a stereotype. However, there's another path that could happen. If we as individuals fail to apply concepts like this, things can get even worse. The racial divide in America can become even more polarized. Critical race theory may normalize labeling everyone as an oppressor or the oppressed. This would make everyone, based on the color of their skin, an automatic victim or an automatic villain. If things don't change, every shared benefit of diversity in our country may soon be labeled as an immoral appropriation or as a traitorous conformity. Racial violence will continue to escalate. Those convinced of their racial oppression will believe they are justified to destroy, injure, or kill in the efforts to liberate themselves. Our society may abandon the principles of legal due process, and we may eventually completely reject the reality that two wrongs don't make a right. In conclusion, the media and the introduction of critical race theory have contributed to a terrible state of race relations in our country. We have become a divided people and abandoned the ideal of viewing America as a melting pot. We can bridge this divide if we individually strive to act as ambassadors of good race relations. The Bible offers us many tools to act as ambassadors in this capacity. By recognizing the uniqueness of every person, accepting that we all make mistakes, watching to speak without bias, and openly greeting strangers. We can set an example for others of how to treat people of any race with kindness and respect. It is clear race relations in our country have declined to a point of tragic consequence. As individuals, we can apply these biblical concepts to improve this problem and make America a better place for citizens of every race. When it boils down to it, we should remember the old slogan, the most important thing is that we're all members of the human race. I hope these ideas are things you'll think about and maybe apply in your life. Thank you for your time.